Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to Stillwater Police Department's very first academy, number 2022-001. This has been an auspicious occasion for us, being able to conduct our first police academy. Normally they go to the Council on Law Enforcement Education and Training in Ada, Oklahoma for police academies. We've been allowed to have our own academies, and this is our first one. I believe it's been a huge success, and we're very proud of the accomplishments of our training department and our officers and also our recruits. I'd like to start by recognizing our distinguished guest, Interim City Manager Brady Moore. Thank you for coming. City Attorney Carnley, Fire Chief Essery, and Fire Marshal Tharp. Thank you all for being here this evening to share with us. I'd like to also introduce our staff: Chief Watts, Chief of Police; Captain Roy Stevens, Captain Operations Bureau; and Todd Perry couldn't be here. He's the Captain over Services Bureau and Training. And then our administrative assistant, Karen, there she is, and Natalie Beeson. At this time, I'd like to introduce our training team: Lieutenant Bell, Sergeant Blakey, Officer Castile, and Officer Latsky. They're the ones who have been instrumental in training these officers in this police academy, and they've done an excellent job. This time I'll turn it over to Sergeant Blakey, and he'll tell you about the recruit training program.
Hope you all don't mind if I read this. Didn't have time to memorize it. Like you said, I'm Sergeant Blakey. I'm the training unit supervisor. There's a whole lot of officers, several of them that are here right now that helped in training these guys. Most of all, Master Patrol Officers Latsky and Castile definitely handled the bulk of the hours that these guys get. So I just wanted to commend them for their hard work. Typically, or traditionally, these guys would go to CLEAT for about 4 months, 16 weeks, then they'd come back here and do another 18 weeks of in-house training with us before they start FTO, which is another 15 weeks. So it's about a 10-plus month process from beginning to end for somebody who's not certified. And these guys, like Chief said, this is our first time doing this. So we've combined that. So this is an actual CLEAT Academy that we're privileged to host, combined with our in-house program that's 27 weeks before they go on to start FTO still. So as of today, these officers have completed 1,076 hours of training, certifying them as full-time certified law enforcement officers in the state of Oklahoma. Their training has consisted of 120 hours of defensive tactics training, 120 hours of firearms training, 40 hours of active shooter training, over 40 hours of law enforcement driver training, 70 hours of legal, 200 hours of various types of investigations training, and dozens of other required classes. They performed at or above our standards in numerous decision-making scenarios under mental and physical stress. We challenged the individual limits of their bodies and their minds, and challenged their perspectives and way of thinking. They have shed gallons of sweat, a little blood, and a few tears. We're proud to see them move on to the field training program, where we hope to see them excel and soon become solo patrol officers. I have no doubt that they will succeed and soon have our backs as we will have theirs. Congratulations. Will you start the video, please?
So I'm Captain Stevens. As Chief Jordan said, I'm the Operations Bureau Commander. For our guest, I'll explain to you. So the police department's basically divided in two halves. There's the Operations Bureau and the Services Bureau. So Captain Perry, who had a family emergency, couldn't be here today, he's the captain over the Services Bureau, which is where the training unit falls under and this academy falls under. The Patrol Division falls under the Operations Bureau, mine. And at the conclusion of this ceremony today, these officers will transfer from the Services Bureau to the Operations Bureau. As you can see from the video, these officers have already been through a lot of hard training, painful training, especially Roger. Today marks the end of what you might refer to as their clinical training in kind of a sterile environment. The next day that these officers will report to duty, they'll be in the field training program. The calls will be real. The people will be real. The dangers will be real. They'll be entering our field training program. To explain to you what that is, they're paired with a senior officer, and they're going to meet those officers today. These are what we call our field training officers. These are officers that have been chosen, volunteer, been chosen among their peers to train our next generation of officers. These new officers are required to take everything that they've learned in the past 27 weeks and put it into practical use under the watchful eye of these FTOs. They spend 4 to 5 weeks on each one of our 3 shifts with a different FTO, and then the last 2 weeks they go back to their original FTO for 2 weeks of evaluation. Everything that they do for that 15 weeks, every single thing that they do, from how they look to how they greet other officers to how they talk to a citizen to how they drive a car to how they find their way around the town to their officer safety, every single thing that they do is observed, evaluated, and rated by these FTOs. It is an extremely stressful 15 weeks, as any other officer in here will tell you. The day that they are looking forward to, you thought it would be today graduating the academy. They're looking forward to a day in September when they graduate FTO to become a solo police officer. As I said, it's a really stressful time, but we have every confidence these guys are going to do a good job, and they'll succeed in this. So right now I'm going to ask the recruit officers, if y'all would, go ahead and post over here on this side and face that wall for me. FTOs, if y'all will post over there and face your recruit officers. In a moment, I'm going to have each of these officers report to their first phase field training officer. When they do so, they're going to be presented with an ink pen. On that pen's engraved their SPD Basic Academy number, and their badge number. And you might ask, why a pen? Why are we giving them a pen? Well, it's been said that police work can sometimes be described as really long stretches of routine, sometimes boredom, interrupted by a few minutes of heart-pounding terror, followed by long stretches of paperwork, even longer stretches of paperwork. What most people think of when they think of police officers is what they see on TV. You see that 60 seconds of edited video that they've taken from 2 or 3 weeks of riding around with a police officer to show you on TV because it's entertaining. But in reality, the vast majority of our work during those long stretches of boredom, long stretches of routine, long stretches of paperwork is about communication. It's about communicating with our citizens, communicating with victims, with suspects, with other officers. It's about taking what they see and reducing those observations and their activity into a written word that can be consumed by or communicated to the public, the media, or our legal system. Effective communication at all levels of what they do is essential to these officers' success. I hope this pen that they receive will help serve as a reminder to them of that fact. You guys ready to move on? Ready to go? All right. Officer Fombe, report to Master Patrol Officer Cordova. Excuse me. Officer Osick, report to Officer Gulick. Officer Rogers, report to Master Patrol Officer Houston. To the officers over here about to enter the FTO program, I want to say, excuse me, I want to say to you, you're never going to forget the FTO standing beside you. There's not an officer in this room that can't tell you who their FTOs were and what they meant to them. As someone who's trained many recruits, I will tell you these guys want you to succeed more than anything. It's their desire that you succeed. So listen to them, ask questions, stay safe. All right, y'all go ahead and be seated. Although he was not one of my FTOs, he's been a mentor and a trainer for me throughout my career. It's a pleasure for me to turn this over to Stillwater Police Chief Jeff Watts.
Thank you, Captain Stevens. Gentlemen, congratulations on completing one of the most demanding training courses you will encounter in law enforcement. Over the past 27 weeks, you have received instruction in various law enforcement related courses. Your training helped prepare you for the next phase of your evolution. You will now enter into the field training program where you will begin to hone your skills as a police officer. Under the guidance of your field training officer, you will learn the practical application of your training. In addition, you will continue to learn from your trainers as well as other officers you work with daily. You will be walking in the shadows and footsteps of every Stillwater police officer who walked those same steps months, years, and decades before you. Over time, you will leave your footsteps and shadows for those brave officers who come after you. Your goal is to ensure that the path you leave is one of nobility, service, sacrifice, and commitment to our community. You are not only following the path and paving the way for others, but you are also reinforcing to our community that every Stillwater police officer values them and that we are here to serve and protect. You will continue our tradition of professional police services. You will mold yourself to the needs of our community while maintaining your integrity, commitment, and drive to achieve excellence. By the time you complete your field training program, you will have all the necessary basics to be a professional police officer. From those basics, you will grow your skills and experience and additional training. Before you know it, you will be a seasoned veteran officer who is training and leading new officers who are walking in your footsteps and shadows. Remember, You no longer live in a vacuum where your decisions, actions, and professionalism only affect you. On the contrary, they not only affect every Stillwater police officer, but every law enforcement officer in this country. Take the time to ask yourself, are my actions what I want to represent me, our police department, and our profession? If the answer is yes, then you're probably on the right track. Be lighthearted but professional. Have empathy, but when necessary, be firm. Keep up on your training. Know the laws we are sworn to uphold. And when in doubt, ask for guidance. As you grow into your professional career, take advantage of new opportunities. Become a trainer, mentor, and leader to others. Our time as department leaders will come to an end, and it will be up to you and your fellow officers to fill in those voids. That time may seem far away, but the years pass much faster than you can believe. I am grateful for the opportunity to watch each of you fulfill your calling as a Stillwater police officer. And I'm proud to be able to present all three of you with your graduation certificates. Please come stand up here. Josie, congratulations. Dave, congratulations. You're welcome. Officer Rogers, congratulations. These are your newest Stillwater police officers moving into the field training program. All right, at this time, if you guys want to take some pictures with your families, pictures with your trainers, or anybody else, now's the time to do it. Thank you all for coming and have a great afternoon. Yes.